Welcome to the Instructors Training video for the West Point Leadership and Ethics Conference. The purpose of this video is to provide members of the instructional team with everything they need to know to prepare for the roles in the conference. It begins with an introduction to the conference that can be useful for general audiences, then provides detailed information and guidance essential to the instructional team. The West Point Leadership and Ethics Conference is a one-day conference that brings together over 200 high school juniors to learn about, discuss, and apply principles of ethical decision-making. The purpose of the conference is to introduce participants to the idea that ethical decision-making is a foundational skill for leaders in American society, and to help them to develop that skill. The participants are selected by their faculty based upon their demonstrated leadership qualities in anticipation that they will bring the lessons of the conference back to their schools and communities. In its 16th year in 2023, over 75 volunteers organize and conduct the conference annually. Founded by members of the West Point classes of 1979 and 1980, it continues to be organized by West Point graduates and other leaders with military and non-military backgrounds. It is delivered through donations from businesses and individuals with the support of the D.C. area branch of West Point's Association of Graduates and the George Mason University School of Business Administration. The heart of the conference is the group instruction, where teams of 15 to 20 participants study and practice ethical decision-making through the facilitated discussion of several realistic vignettes in which young people are challenged in ethically complex situations. Groups have three facilitators: a high school senior returning 1 year after outstanding participation, a college student, and a young professional mentor, who is often an active duty Army or Air Force captain. The conference begins at 7 a.m. with a registration and breakfast for conference participants and volunteers, including the instructional teams, which get to meet in person and finalize their preparations. It then moves to the main auditorium for the official opening, national anthem, and first keynote speaker. The morning's keynote speaker is usually a senior active duty general officer who speaks on the importance of ethical decision-making in leadership and professional life. After a question and answer session with the speaker, the Master of Ceremonies posts the group assignments in classrooms. The students and facilitators move upstairs to the classrooms on the 3rd and 4th floors, where the group instruction runs from about 9 to 1 p.m., including eating box lunches. Each of the 12 groups and 3-person instruction teams works independently until groups pair up for the first round of skits competition at 1 p.m. Each group presents its skit, and the one that better utilizes the ethical decision-making model to illustrate the challenges and possible courses of action for the imaginary situation moves on to the final round of the competition. Simultaneously, the high school faculty accompanying the students attend a separate session where a speaker discusses ethics and decision-making. At 1:30 p.m., all participants gather back in the main auditorium for the afternoon speaker and final round of skit competition. The afternoon session begins with an engaging talk by a younger generation leader who has met early challenges in life with great success. For example, Fro Groberg, who earned a Medal of Honor in Afghanistan, and pictured here, a former West Point first captain. It is followed by the 6 groups that won the first round competition presenting their skits on stage. The audience and judges then select the best skit, again based upon how the day's lessons were applied, as well as the creativity and enthusiasm of the teams. After the winning group is selected, the Master of Ceremonies closes the conference. That's a summary of the conference. Now let's talk about the program itself. The program is organized using 2 documents. One is the Student and Faculty Program, which is given out to all participants. It includes the agenda for the day, a discussion of the main concepts of the conference, and the vignettes, which are used for discussion and instruction. These vignettes are not contained in the program of instruction, so it's important that instructors also have the program and utilize these vignettes. Members of the instructional team will be given both online before the conference as part of the training. You will also receive the program of instruction. The program of instruction is for the instructor team, and it's used to explain to you what your role is. We will now go into that in more detail. At the beginning of February each year, the instructor teams are completed. Each instructional team consists once again of a high school senior who's a recent and successful participant of the conference, a college-age student, often a cadet, sometimes also a previous participant in the conference, and a mentor. Each has their own role, and generally speaking, the primary facilitator will be the college student, working in partnership with a high school senior. Keep in mind that the high school senior and perhaps one or two other participants have experienced Wplec before and have familiarity with the curriculum. That experience should be taken advantage by the instructional team. Overall, the program for the instruction team, once again, is at the beginning of February. The instructors are identified. We send out to you the program of instruction, the program itself, and this video, a link to this video. Each member of the instructional team is expected to watch the video and study the programs in preparation for the first online training. During the first online training, we go through these items and answer any questions you may have. Then the groups are organized, and each of the members of the instructional teams find out who they're working with. They then get together online to discuss what approach they will take in teaching the curriculum. Then there's a second online meeting with the volunteers where each member of the instructional team has an opportunity to discuss further questions that they have about the day, the conference itself, and the instructional process. So all members of the instructional team, when they make the commitment to help lead the conference, they make a commitment to completing this training program, because the conference largely depends upon how well the team is prepared. A well-prepared team will be able to successfully teach the curriculum and bring maximum benefit and understanding to the high school participants, who will then go back and share that at their schools and communities. Your participation on the instructional team, your leadership, is essential to the success of the conference. Once again, the structure of the day: after the keynote speaker in the morning and a break, we go up to the classrooms. I wanted to mention that during the breakfast in the morning, the members of the instructional team should sit together within your group so that the three of you can make final preparations and discussion about how you're going to teach the program. Also, towards the end of breakfast, you'll go into one of the smaller rooms where the morning's keynote speaker will give you a brief talk. We have about 3.5 hours for the instructional part, and we're going to go through that in detail now. One of the important elements is how we train. We use the EDGE method: explain, demonstrate, guide, and enable. Details about the EDGE method can be found in the program of instruction. A key concept is ethics versus morals. And we have a table here that shows the difference. The primary way to think about it is morals are your conscience, your internal clock. Ethics are societal norms, which often closely match your morals and your internal conscience. But the ethics part is what society dictates is accepted and legal or illegal. Our vignettes are complex situations with no clear answer, but each vignette provides the opportunity to utilize critical thinking, to understand potential courses of action, and provides an opportunity for the people that find themselves in the situations contained in the vignettes to provide leadership to help come up with courses of action that result in better outcomes for the people involved. Very rarely is there one bad person and one good person. There are real people who make better and worse decisions in different situations, ethical, more and less ethical situations. The challenge is to find different courses of action based upon ethical principles. We want you to use these qualities in the groups, help develop these elements: critical thinking, communication, collaboration, creativity, commitment, and compassion. I'm not going to go through the ethical decision-making model in detail here, but each of you should look at it in detail and understand that the day is set up to use this model. We're going to go a little bit through the activities in the morning and come right back to here. You're going to divide your group of 15 to 20 people into approximately four groups once you introduce the concept of ethical decision making and the EDGE method. Once you describe that, you'll demonstrate it using the sample vignette, and then you will guide and enable your group as they go through the other vignettes. It's useful to assign a specific vignette to a smaller group and have each go through that vignette and then share their conclusions, their courses of actions with the other groups and discuss those. By doing that, you get each student involved in analyzing a vignette rather than having a large group analyzing each vignette. If you have 15 or 20 people analyzing a vignette, then most people won't be participating. But if the group overall is divided into smaller groups, then in a group of 4 people you'll have everybody participating. And you'll also have time to get through all the vignettes and have some people become experts in each one. One of the vignettes will be used for the competition between the two teams. So at about 12 o'clock, lunch will be ready, and you send a couple of your students down, 3 students should be enough, to get the box lunches and bring them back up to your classroom so that you don't take a big lunch break. You just have the box lunches in the classroom and everyone continues discussing the material over lunch. You won't know, so again, there's 2 stages of competition. The first stage is between 2 groups, so we have 12 groups, and as you see, the teams will be competing against each other head to head for the first round. They won't know in advance which of the vignettes they're going to be competing on. One of the judges will come in shortly before and they'll be told which vignette. So at lunchtime a judge will come in and say, okay, team 1 and 2, you're going to be competing on vignette number 3. And those teams then have about an hour to prepare a specific skit that demonstrates how they use the ethical decision-making process to analyze the vignette and come up with courses of actions. And then they choose one course of action which they think is the best ethical course of action, and they demonstrate that in a skit. So the two teams come up with their skits. At 1 o'clock, they present their skits to the judge. At 1:30, the judge lets them know which team was most successful in using the ethical decision-making process to analyze the situation in the vignette and come up with a course of action. And the 6 teams that win will then be presenting on the main stage in the afternoon after the keynote speaker. Also, at the end of the day, the facilitating team, the instructional team, is responsible for making sure the room gets cleaned up, materials turned in, and also each instructional team should keep in mind throughout the day how their group is doing, how the individuals are participating and performing. And out of your group of 15 to 20 students, you should select 2 students who you feel best demonstrated the skills that we seek and learned the ethical decision-making process, and those 2 students you'll recommend to participate in the scholarship competition. The scholarship competition is described here, but basically those students will be contacted afterwards. They'll be invited to participate in the scholarship competition. They'll be sent an additional vignette, and they'll be asked to use the ethical decision-making process to analyze that vignette and come up with courses of action in a written response. And the best responses will be awarded scholarships. That basically summarizes the day and the process. Once again, members of the instructional team, thank you for volunteering. Your ability to master these concepts and present them to the students is key for the students learning the material and having a successful conference. You'll have an opportunity to ask questions and discuss during the upcoming training. Thank you.